First off, can you give us a bit of an idea of your sort of progression? Because a lot of people, I mean, you know, I've seen it since your start. When you started, you were, let's face it, a very raw fighter. How much work it's actually taken to work on your defence, and because at times it seems you didn't even have a defence. You were such an aggressive fighter, and how much time you spent with Tony Sims actually developing all that.
Mate, bundles of time. I mean, we've been grafting non-stop, back to back, and you know, you never stop learning in this game. I might have finished article. No, again, far from it. But we're always working on things I can improve on. There was with the injuries and you know this COVID pandemic. It's given me time to learn. It's slowing it all down for me. You got to remember, I broke my jaw. I was out for 8 months. I torn the tendon in my hand. I was out for a year, and then this pandemic out for another year. So really, you know, 3 years out of 5 years I've been pro, it's been a lot, giving me time to learn behind closed doors without having the pressure from the general public to rush me.
Did you actually have an idea of how when you turned pro, you obviously had very few fights when you turned pro. Did you actually have an idea of how much you had to learn? Obviously, you had your dad to advise you, and he had a great amateur career himself before his pro career. People don't know, but did you have an idea of how much you had to do, how far you had to go?
Nah, man. I mean, when I turned pro, it was, you know, it was fun and jokes. It was, you know, enjoying the ride. Just got signed by Matchroom. It was all like, it was hype. And then it got real. And as I went through the levels, there were certain things that showed that I needed working on. But it takes for you to go through those levels before you can sit down and go, yeah, okay, it's real now, and I need to work on these things. You can't just go in there and blast everybody out. You have these fights. You have good days in the office. You have bad days in the office, and it's just one of those things. And you know, it takes time. It's one of the things you can't rush. It will take time. You know, you're trying to perfect a craft here under the spotlight. So it's just one of the things, man. It's all learning, and all the hard work will show, as it always has done.
Excellent. And well, how far do you think now you are from the sort of title level? There was always talk of a British title fight this summer, which hasn't sort of come off. You know, you get put in the same sort of bracket as Josh Kelly, who's fighting for a European title. Do you think you're ready for that now? And you know, how many fights do you think you might be from, you know, being a world tops 5, that sort of thing, which will put you in a picture for that sort of thing?
Well, listen, me beating Formella puts me right up there. So, and you know, this is a statement fight for me. I've been working on so many different things. I've been working with a guy called Chris at Leap 76, and he's been helping me as well. How powerful your mind is, how much you can absorb. Your mind's just as powerful as your body. Do you know what I mean? There's so many things coming into this game as a young novice that you don't understand, you don't get. Because at the end of the day, we're all insane, us fighters, you know. In case you haven't noticed, you know, we're half a bit mental. So, you know, and the mind's a powerful thing. So, listen, I'm growing, maturing, and the blessing about it is it's done under the eyes of the general public who've been with me from the get-go, from a young boy to a novice fighter. Can say I could have had a few white-collar fights. That's the level of what sort of fighting I was at. So then me now fighting, you know, a world-ranked opponent who's a really credible body in my 16th fight. I ain't fought 20, 25 bums. Do you know what I mean? When I could have. I've got a time, I'm only 24. Do you know what I mean? I could have had so many more learning fights. But me and my team think it's best to step up now, and we believe we're ready. So we're going to grab it by the horns and, you know, smash it.
Excellent. Thanks. That's Conor. Good luck Saturday, and speak to you soon, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. If we pass over to Shane Dyer from Boxing Social next, please.
How we doing, Conor? You all right?
Yeah, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much.
You look different, or is it a different guy?
I am a different guy, but
you look similar, though.
That is about the 10th time I've heard that. But you previously said that you were kind of unsure about fighting behind closed doors. What made you change your mind?
Not that I was unsure. That's not what my dad was unsure. I wasn't unsure. Let's not get that confused. I don't know where that's. I'm okay with fight, but it had to be the right fight. Is what I was getting at. I'm not going to rush and take fights with people I don't need to take fights with because I need a payday. It's never about the money for me. It's not about the money. I don't need the money. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It won't. I'd rather wait and have a meaningful fight, like Jenkins. It's not even like we didn't try names. We tried Jenkins, Egerton, Garton, Fear Payne. There's one more there. So, you know, former European champions, Bradley Skeet, we tried. So all these fights we tried to make happen. None of them could materialise. But I'm not going to fight all these other bods if I don't need to. I'd rather fight someone established, someone who's been there, seen that, done that, someone who's a good bod on my record. So that was why. And now we've got a credible opponent. It was never the case of me not wanting to fight. It was just a matter of who.
And as you said about Chris Jenkins, people were adamant that was going to be your next fight. And obviously it was appealing because it was for the British title. Was that fight ever on the cards? Was there any stumbling blocks making that fight?
It was on the cards for us at Matchroom. And that's all I can say to that is we tried everything we could to make the fight happen. There was only ever talks on fighting on an away show, our show. There was no talk. I didn't want to have to fight until next year, or there was no ever talks of a date. So we offered him a certain amount, a serious figure, and they said they were kept taking it. It was supposed to be on one of the fight camp shows. It was supposed to be kept taking it, and then it didn't materialise. And I've just wasted all that time when I could have fought. Do you know what I mean? So, listen, we're here now, fighting number 22 or 26 ranked globally, former IBO world champion. So, listen, one door closes, another door opens.
Yeah, and a win this weekend against Formella, your stock is going to rise, quite considerably. Do you still see yourself challenging for the British title in your plans? I'd
love to. I don't want to just go, bypass it. It's a great title. It's a title my dad never won, So, I'll quite happily do that. But we'll see how my career goes. It's my career, as I said, one door closes, another door opens. I'm not looking past Formella as a handful in itself. So I'll just be focused on that.
Nice one. Thank you for your time, Conor.
No worries. Take care.
Shane, next up, if we go to Jonathan from Pro Boxing Fans.
No worries.
Hey, Conor, you all right?
Yes, mate. How you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I just wanted to touch on your sparring with Kell Brook. Obviously, you sparred with each other before your respective fights. What did you learn from Kell Brook, established champion? I'm sure you would have only learned a great deal.
I learned about myself. I learned where I'm at in my career and get, confident in my ability and everything we've been working on. Because Kell Brook's one of them fighters that I highly look up to. And there aren't many fighters that I do. Kell Brook's just one of them. I went to see his fight with Golovkin. I drove all the way to Sheffield to see his fight with Spence. And I don't normally go to the boxing shows, but, he's one of my favourite time fighters. So for me to spar him, first off, it was a privilege. And I really did learn where I was at in that spar. And everything that my trainer's been working on, we've been working on.
Where did it show you in terms of sort of the level you're at? Because obviously Kell Brook's competed at world level. Did it show you that gap between the world level?
Based on the spar, Formella shouldn't be a problem. And then I think to myself, what would Kell Brook? You want Kell put Formella in the same sentence as Brook. So, it showed me where I'm at, and it's where I've been. It's where I've been what I've been training for this whole time. The growth is inevitable.
How crucial do you think this could be as a learning fight, considering he's not a guy that usually gets stopped too much, especially if you're able to? And even if you don't stop him, you go to points and you get that sort of experience.
Listen, it's all learning, man. Do you know what I mean? My career seems to have gone from here to here so quick. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them things, man. Listen, you can't stop the growth. I'm with the right team, the right promoter. I trust my trainer, my management team, and the sky's the limit. There's no ceiling to my career. When big opportunities like this present itself, mark my words, I'm gonna take it.
And just last one from me. Virgil Ortiz, you said that you think he's going to be sort of the next king of the division in the coming years. Do you believe you might be on a collision course with him? You're the upcoming British welterweight talent. Do you see you two meeting in the future?
Well, now that he's signed to MTK, it does make things a lot easier. But at the end of the day, listen, that's far off. We got Formella in front of us, and as I said, that's a handful in itself. So I've got to make sure I take care of business on Saturday.
Best of luck, Conor. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. If we pass to Ames from Boxing News TV, please.
Ames here for Boxing News TV. Pleasure to meet you, Conor.
How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Around this time last year, your dad was looking to come back. You were training with him. He's now going to watch you make that step up in the game that he performed in so well. What conversations have you had with him about this upcoming step up? And could you tell us if that flame to return has diminished for your father?
Yeah, that flame's long gone, mate. He ain't coming back for nothing, for nobody. So, and he doesn't need to. Do you know what I mean? He's sitting comfortably. As far as my fight, he knows I'm ready.
And Conor, I'm a big fan of CBTV. Keep up the great work there. I saw on CBTV you have the Mini Destroyer on the way. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Has your mindset changed in the way you think about boxing now that you have a young one on the way?
No, not really, man. Obviously, I want to be the best. So what has changed is my mindset outside the ring is what's changed. It's calmed me down. It's calmed me down a lot, do you know what I mean? So it's just a blessing, do you know what I mean? It gives you a different perspective on life as a whole, not necessarily the fighting. Do I want my son fighting? Nah, definitely not.
That's interesting because wasn't it the case that your father didn't want you fighting?
Yeah, but I was a problem. Whereas I hope he takes my wife's side, the normal side.
You've had your doubters, as everyone does, but it was interesting, Eddie saying recently he was unsure of where you'd go when you first came on the scene. Does the potential win here and performance really legitimize you and put you on the map?
I wouldn't say put me on the map. I mean, people know who I am, which is why I get called out left, right and centre. But apart from that, I think my name is on the map, but this does put me up there, in the world scene.
And just a couple more questions from me. There was some talk online about Formella or maybe some member of his team failing a COVID test. Were you aware of anything going on there?
No.
And final one for me. You get a lot of call-outs. Someone who's been calling you out, I'm sure you're very aware of, Florian Marku. He wants to destroy Smoke. Will we see that soon?
Listen, there's a lot more credible people to fight. He said he's struggling to get opponents. There's about 10 fights. Well, I don't know if he's ranked in England, but there's a ton of fighters, hard fights that he can take instead of fighting 4-1 geezers when I'm fighting number 22 in the world. So, his followers are going to try and talk his way into a fight. He's got a massive following, and I hope he does well. I hope he gets to 15-0 or 16-0. Then we can have a big domestic. But in the boxing scene, nobody knows who he is. Without Instagram or social media, I wouldn't have known who he was. But social media does give people a platform to call out other fighters, and it's good PR. It's great PR. Do you know what I mean? So, and they should do that. But the list goes on of people that have called me out over the years. I mean, cool. Oh, mate, loads. So, it's just when some people get a bit disrespectful with it. It's like, you're crossing the line now. Do you know what I mean? But it is what it is, man. It comes part and parcel.
Thanks for your time, Conor. All the best at the weekend.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aim. If we pass to Pro Bs from Pep Talk UK, please.
Conor, how you doing, mate?
Yes, bro. What's happening?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. Now, Amir Khan and Kell Brook are at the end of their careers. Do you see yourself as the next welterweight from the UK to fly the flag in the future?
I do indeed. I believe I'm one of the most entertaining British fighters, British welterweights anyway. So there's a long way left to go. I mean, I'm 24, so 5 years in the game still, 6 years. So, there's a long way left to go. There's going to be hurdles, man, ups and downs. But all I know is that the British public, when they look back at my career, are going to go, yeah, that was a good career.
There's a lot of good fighters at welterweight at world level: Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. The list goes on.
Yeah.
How far realistically do you see yourself away from fighting at that level?
Well, Saturday night I answer a lot of questions. These questions you're asking me this Saturday, you will know. Do you know what I mean? It's my career seems to have gone from here to here. Do you know what I mean? In a short period, from me being a young boy to then me becoming a man and really mastering my craft. So I think this Saturday answers a lot of questions. Again, when I fought Juicy Koivula, 3-time European challenger, no one banged him out in 2 rounds like that. Nobody. So, and then Stephen Jamoya banged him out, no problem. Joseph Sahandrick just went 10 rounds with WBA and former IBF world champion. So, and you know, I'll beat him more convincingly. So it's just a mad one. Do you know what I mean? But listen, I'll continue to work hard, and Saturday night we'll answer a lot of questions for the both of us.
Thank you, Conor. Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Okay, next if we pass to Joe from Seconds Out.
Hi, Conor. Hope you're all right, mate. First question I've got is, do you think your opponent's being overlooked, being as that there were so many names in the hat, obviously Chris Jenkins being one of them? Do you feel like, being as that, yeah, he wasn't the first name, a lot of people are thinking, you know, it's going to be an easy night for you?
No, definitely going to be an easy night, mate. It's going to be an hard night's work. If it's a hard night's work for Sean Paul, it's definitely going to be an hard night's work for me. Do you know what I mean? So, no, there's no overlooking him. Not from me anyway, but maybe other people. I mean, he don't really look like an hard geezer, does he? So people probably, you know, people who don't know boxing just think, yeah, Conor's going to blow him out. No, it's a big step up. It's a big test. And, you know, answer a lot of questions Saturday.
And obviously, someone was mentioning about your YouTube channel earlier. I've been keeping an eye on the content there. And one of the pieces of content that you've been keeping up with is the words of wisdom. I was just wondering what your words of wisdom, because usually it's, you know, to your subscribers, what your words of wisdom to yourself would be, sort of when you're making that ring walk, and what your motivation will be for Saturday night.
Remember why I come into this game. You know, but forget all the criticism, forget all the naysayers, the negativity, which, you know, you're surrounded by. Forget all that. Focus on why you fight. Because I love fighting. Take the pressure off of being Nigel Benn's son. Enjoy the game. Enjoy fighting. Enjoy getting in there and having a scrap. And that's what I enjoy doing. So, and I ain't going to let nobody take that away from me. So when I get in the ring, there's no pressure on my shoulders. I get in there and do what I need to do. And I've been working on my mindset with Chris at Leap 76. I've been working with him, you know, on your mind strongly. So it's still there.
And my Wi-Fi cut out for about a minute earlier, so I apologise if someone else has asked this. But being as that you're such an exciting style of fighting, do you feel like without a crowd that's going to be effective?
Listen, I find a telephone box, mate. It ain't it ain't about having a crowd there or not. A fight's a fight when you get here. You know, you get your back up, and it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? So, nah. But I'll let you know Saturday.
Nice one. And just last question. Do you think... I've just lost my head there. Do you think... being as that you headlined the bill, obviously you've headlined bills before, but what was your first reaction to realising the white fight was called off and you'd be the headliner?
It don't make no difference to me. Do you know what I mean? It don't make no difference to me. Headline, undercard, either way, I'm going in there to do the same job, which is bang Formella out.
Appreciate it. Well, look forward to seeing that, and speak to you soon, mate.
Take care.
Thanks, Joe. If you pass to Dona from MMA Islands.
Hey, Conor, how's it going?
How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. I wanted to ask you about something you said on TalkSport recently. You called out a few MMA fighters. You said that you were interested in fighting some UFC guys. Is there anyone in particular over in that sport that impresses you?
Nah, what that impresses me. Not that I want to fight. Who's that style bender?
Adesanya.
He's naughty in, mate. What a fighter. He's a good fighter in. Do you know what? He's just... And that Cody Gabran, I speak to that Cody Gabran. He's a cool guy. You know, you've got that Darren Stewart. So I'm highly into MMA. Would I do the crossover? Of course I would. Do you know what I mean? If I'm laying people out in these 8-ounce gloves, cool. It'd be naughty getting on them in them small gloves.
Have you ever had the chance to put on those little gloves and try to spar someone?
I have, yeah. I have. I've done some grappling before as well.
I would imagine that with those little gloves, you're knocking people out left, right, and centre.
Well, I watched some of the MMA fighters, and they're knocking people out, and it doesn't even look like they're throwing the punch properly. Let alone when you're putting your full body weight into it.
So I did ask though, like in terms of people who, if there was a crossover fight to do, you know, I'm thinking you've got some decent boxers over there. Arnold Allen has a bit of an amateur record. Calvin Kattar. I'm thinking in your division, Peter Yan is the champion in the division below. Would any of these names interest you in a potential crossover fight?
I don't know any of them, but you know, I wouldn't put it past me at all.